Hi guys, thanks for stopping by my channel today. I'm Marilyn and my channel's Making with Marilyn. On my channel I do all things crafty, but today I'm going to focus on rhinestones. Now before I actually cut a rhinestone template and show you how to put your rhinestones in it, I want to touch on three things. I want to talk about two types of rhinestones I've used. I want to talk about rhinestone templates, and then I want to talk about how to cut those templates. And in talking about how to cut them, I want to talk about the settings that I use, as well as whether you should cut your templates on the white backing of the flocking material or without the backing attached. So when I recently started working with rhinestones, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what a hotfix versus a flat back was. I didn't know when you would use each one. And so we're going to talk about basic things like that in this video. So if you are a successful rhinestone user, this video probably isn't for you, but if you're starting out or you're interested in starting out, I hope you find a few things useful. So the first thing I said I wanted to talk about was types of rhinestones. I've used two different types. I've used flatback rhinestones. Flatback rhinestones are rhinestones that just have a foil backing. There's no adhesive built in. And so with these rhinestones, you add them to usually hard surfaces with some type of glue. So here's an example of a project where I used the flatback rhinestones. I made this bling tumbler. Now you're placing each one of these by hand, so it's a lot of work, and you're adding glue to the back. I used liquid fusion for my project. Okay, that's the extent of what we're going to discuss about flatbacks today, because today's video really is about hotfix rhinestones. I just wanted to explain the difference. Now a hotfix rhinestone is one that has glue on the back. It's dried, it's not sticky, but to reactivate that glue so that it will stick to your fabric, you add heat to it. And we're going to do that later in this video. The biggest thing that you need to be careful with hotfix rhinestones is that you get the correct size for your template. Now when I was watching YouTube videos, I noticed that it was pretty typical for people to use what's called an SS10, or some people call them 10SS. The 10 denotes the size. And so these are SS10 rhinestones. They're kind of a medium size compared to my flatbacks. My flatbacks were SS20s, so they're fairly large. Again, since I saw most people using this SS10s, that's what I purchased. Now that's going to lead me to the second subtopic. Templates are made specific to the size of rhinestones that you're using. And you're going to find a lot of templates with SS10 size holes, which is probably why most people buy the SS10 rhinestones. Or vice versa. People make SS10 templates because people like SS10 rhinestones. Either way, the majority of videos that I watched, people used SS10s. So that's what I bought. Okay, so topic 2, templates. You can actually buy two types of templates. You can buy a download that you then take into Cricut Design Space or Silhouette and you use your cutter to cut them. Or some people do sell the hard templates. The only thing that I've used is downloads that I've purchased or templates that I've made. So I've never ordered an actual hard template. As far as downloads go, you can buy them off of Etsy. You can buy them from a site called My File Addiction. There are a lot of sites where you can buy downloadable templates. Now, I've bought a few of those, but because I don't sell a lot of things, I wanted to learn to make my own templates. And I had an old program already called Sure Cuts a Lot. Sure Cuts a Lot has a rhinestone feature in it, and that's what I used to make this template. So if you already own Sure Cuts a Lot, get in there and play with that rhinestone feature. Now, I am going to make a video where I show the difference between making templates in Sure Cuts a Lot and making them in the second program that I've used, which is Silhouette Business Edition. So if you're interested in that, make sure you're subscribed and click that bell. But what I learned when I used Sure Cuts a Lot was I selected the SS10 size. And Sure Cuts a Lot has two sizes for SS10s, a smaller and a larger. I selected the larger size, then I tried to rub my stones in, and the holes were slightly too small. So then the next time I cut this, I used the SS12 feature, and it worked perfectly. Then after working with the Sure Cuts a Lot program for, a week or two, I ended up buying the Silhouette Business Edition. It also has a rhinestone template feature, and just like in Sure Cuts a Lot, you can save these as SVGs so that you can then bring them into Cricut, Silhouette, or any other cutter. Now, if I already own Sure Cuts a Lot, I would start by using it and see how well you even like making rhinestone templates. If you don't have either and you want to try to make your own rhinestone templates, I would definitely go with the Silhouette Business Edition. You can get it for almost the same price as this. It's a little bit more, but on Swing Design, that's where I downloaded mine. I got it for, I believe it was $59 versus the typical $99. Okay, so the third topic, and the one I want to spend the most time on, is how to cut these, what settings to use, and whether to cut the flock with the backing on or the backing off. So let me show you a few things. What you need is you need the flocking material, and then you need some transfer tape. And I'm going to go ahead and take those out so that there's not glare and so you don't hear the plastic paper rattling. Now this is a set that I got off of Amazon. I got 10 pieces of the flocking and 10 pieces of this transfer tape. Now your transfer tape has to be a special type that can withstand heat, and it's not going to leave adhesive on the fronts of your rhinestones. So this set came with 10 pieces of each, and when you start pricing flock and this transfer tape, you're going to see it's pretty expensive. And so I found this, I think it was $39, which I didn't think was bad for 10 pieces of each one. So I'll link to this in case you just want a starter set. Otherwise, some people will buy the rolls of flocking, which I haven't gotten yet. I didn't realize this came with the transfer tape, so I did buy transfer tape separately. You can also buy it in a roll. But if you're just starting out, I would start with something like this. So at this time, we're going to jump over to the computer, and I'm going to pull up my templates, show you my settings, and then we're going to cut a couple templates. Right now, I'm in Silhouette Studio, the Business Edition, and here's my template. The first important thing is I need to write down the size of my template. So you can see right here and right here the dimensions. You can see those up here as well. And you're going to see in a minute why that is so important. Okay, let's go ahead and close that out. Then here is my Cricut design space. So I'm going to click Upload. So I'll click Upload Image. Now once I hit Browse, you're going to see my desktop, and there's things on that. I just haven't gone through it, so there's probably things on that I wouldn't want you to see. So once I hit Browse, I'll select it on my desktop, and then I'll hit Continue. Okay, so I brought it in. It's already in SVG, so there's nothing to do right here other than click Upload. Now that it's in my Uploads and Cricut design space, I'll click on it and I'll say Add to Canvas. Okay, so notice right here it came in at 1.845 by 1.75. So oftentimes you will find that templates come in at the wrong size. So it's important whether you buy it or whether you make it that you note the size of it so you can resize it in Cricut. These little holes have to be just so precise that it's important that you're precise. So let's go up here to the height. And my height is 3.069. And then when I hit return, my width should be 3.235. So let's see what happens. Okay, and it is. So everything's good. Now I want to just double check that my hole sizes are 0.13 inches. So I'm going to hit Ungroup. Then I'll pick just one hole, and you can see it is 0.13 by 0.13. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and weld all these together. And here's the result. I like to weld them together. I just think that the machine probably works more efficient with one object versus all those little individual circles that it has to think about. Now remember, I'm cutting two templates. One, I'm going to cut directly onto the flock with no backing. So I'm going to change that to blue. Then let me go ahead and duplicate this. So hit Command C, Command V. And then one, I'm going to use the backing. And the backing is kind of a white color. Since you can't see white so well, I'm going to hit gray. Okay, so now I'm ready to cut these. Remember, the blue means it's just the blue flocking, and the white or the silver means I'm going to have the white on the back or the white backing on it. I'm going to say make it. Then I'll say continue. Now I've made custom settings for mine. So let me click on Browse All Materials. And then right up here, I'm going to type rhinestone. Okay, so I have rhinestone flock with no backing. So without the white piece, rhinestone flock with the backing. Let me show you what settings I used. So I'll click on Material Settings, and I just have to scroll down until I find rhinestones. Okay, here they are. So I came to my settings after a lot of trial and error. Some people actually have settings up to 300 or even more than 300. Do little bitty test cuts, cut those with some settings. If it doesn't cut deep enough, increase your pressure. If it's too deep, decrease your pressure. You might find that only one cut's enough. With me, these are the settings I like. Again, some people get this up to 300 or even more. I just have found that with my blade, which really isn't a super new blade, it's pretty old in fact, but with my blade and my machine, these are good settings for me. Now, if you want to come up with your own settings, here's how you add those. So let's go all the way down and say add new material. Then you would type in your material here. I'm just going to say fake material. Then I'll say save. Then it takes me up to where it would be in the alphabet. I would increase or decrease my pressure here. And then if I want it to cut twice, I click it right there. Then I'd say save. So now I have this fake material. And let's just get rid of it. So I'm going to get rid of it and delete it. Okay. So I'm going to go down here and say done. Then since I'm on the one with the backing, I'm going to go back and actually find that. So rhinestone with back. I'll click on that. I'll say done. Now my Cricut's ready to cut. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my material on my mat. Remember, this is the one that we're doing with white backing on it. And it's going to cut right up here. My mat's not brand new. It's fairly sticky, but it's not brand new. Now, I have seen people talk about cutting these on the light mat if your green mat's too sticky. Now, I've been cutting some sample templates just to test my settings, so I want to make sure that's cleaned off. This flocking can add quite a bit of debris onto your blade. Okay, I realize my machine is too close to the pole that my camera's on, so I'm going to pull this forward just a little bit. Otherwise, it's going to smack the stand that the camera's on, and then we'll go ahead and cut. Now, rhinestone cuts take a very long time to make, so I'm going to fast forward through this. Then after that, I'm going to change my settings, and I'll use the setting of rhinestone flock without the backing, and we'll cut the blue one. Okay, for now, I want to go ahead and leave this on the green mat so I can really compare side by side my two cuts. So I'm just going to cut around this. Now up here, I'm going to put the flock without the backing. So I'm just going to peel the backing off. Put this down on my mat, rub it on. Then I need to go back to my computer and tell the second one, the one that I'm going to use the setting for flocking no backing, I'm going to have it cut that paw print over here. Okay, so I selected the other cut setting, and I will put titles down here to show you what those settings were again. Going to clean my blade, load my material, and we're ready to cut. Okay, let's go ahead and unload this, and I can just push my Cricut aside. Okay, before I start taking these off, I just want to get them closer to the camera so you can see. So the ones with the white backing, those circles are lifted up a little bit more. They're still lifted up some without the backing, but that's the difference. They look pretty similar, but these are lifted just a little bit more. Now the reason for that is this white backing, it's not sticky, but the mat that this is on is sticky. So it holds your circles down there a little bit better. So the way I like to start is I like to take some of this Cricut transfer tape, which I really pretty much never use this for actual transfer tape. I always just use contact paper. Then I cut a piece. Now the reason I'm doing that is because a lot of these circles on the white backing piece are sitting on top of the flock. So if I pull the blue up, I'm going to pull a lot of those up with it. Now the thing I don't like about Cricut transfer tape is it is hard to separate the top from the back. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to start by just pressing this down. If you want to, you can even take a little scraper and scrape on it. Okay, so I'm going to hold my template material down. Then I'm going to pull this off quickly. And several of those came up. Now I can see there's still some sitting on top that would easily come up. They just didn't the first pull. Okay, so that's my first step, just to get the ones off the top. So now I can pull up the flock itself. And a lot of them stayed there. So really the majority of the holes came out, but there are still some I have to take out. Now there's a few ways you can do that. You can put it back down, lift it up. You can put it on Cricut transfer tape, lift it up. That'll get some of them. The ones that it doesn't pull up, you just have to pull them out by hand. You can pull them out with your fingernails or a toothpick or your weeding tool. Just kind of push on them. You can even put it back down on your mat. But this is why people use the backing. They want to avoid this. But this is something you can do. And pull up, and you're going to leave several there as well. So you're just going to finish cleaning this out. Now here's what I don't like is, because of the pressure on this white paper with the blade, this is what I'm left with. So that's why I should try the light grip mat, see if that helps. Okay, so that's just my experience, but I know there are people that highly prefer to use the white backing. So here's the cut without the backing. Now because most of these circles are still inside the flock, I'm just going to start by ripping it up quickly. And you can see you get about the same results as you had there. So now I can put this down, since I've already got them all over my mat, and just put the rest of them on the mat. You can try some more Cricut transfer tape. That only got up a couple more, so that's really not even worth it. Okay, so I flipped it over, put it back on my mat, and a bunch of them came out. So this top side actually sticks really well to this mat. Now the downside is you're cleaning a lot of these off the mat. And the first time I saw somebody do this on a video, I thought they were crazy, because when I have to clean cardstock and vinyl, things like that off the mat, I think it's a real pain in the butt. But the adhesive on the back side of these, it's just kind of a different type of material. And they do scrape off fairly easily. So you can just kind of scrape them over onto the corner. Hold this over a trash can and push them off. So I honestly have found no perfect way to do this. It's just a matter of personal preference. And for me, just based on my experiences, just based on what I've figured out so far and what I haven't figured out so far, I think I prefer to cut just directly onto the mat. So take the backing off and just cut the flocking. I don't think there's a right and a wrong way. It's just what you like to do. Now there's a few circles left in this. I can actually just put them down on my table and peel, and some more are going to stay down. It's just then I have to scrape them off the table. So whatever method you find that works for you, that is great. If you have any tips for me or other people watching this, put them in the comment section below. I welcome all suggestions as long as they're made in a positive way. Now the next step is to put our rhinestones in our flock. And I just got this inexpensive cookie pan. I picked it up at the Dollar Tree, and my goodness, this label is tough to get off. I think they could have used about 1/10 of that sticky stuff that they used on this. Okay, well, I'll deal with that later. But what I was finding is if I didn't have it contained, my rhinestones were going all over the place. So let me move this up just a little bit, get it away from that sticky stuff. So I have this stuck down to the pan so it's not going to be shifting. And then I'm going to use this little paint touch-up pad. It's Shoreline brand. It's just real small. You get 2 pads, 1 handle. I either got it at Walmart or Home Depot. I just can't remember which. You can also order these off of Amazon. Okay, so here's my Hotfix crystals. Again, they're SS10s. And I'm going to dump a bunch of them on here. What I've found is if you have a whole lot, way more than you need, it helps. They kind of bump into each other. They help each other fall into place. Then I'm just going to start making circular motions. Now you're going to see a lot of people online that are way better at this than I am, but I'm a newbie. So I'm kind of feeling my way through it. I'm just going in a lot of circular motions. And I think I'm pretty well done. So now I'm going to go all in one direction so I get all my extra rhinestones over to the side. Then I'm going to look really closely at this to see if there's extra rhinestones. And I can see a couple. Let me lift this up so you can see. I can see an extra one right down here. And right up there. And I think I see a couple inside. Okay, so let's pretend I couldn't brush those off. And let's actually pretend like one of the holes didn't get filled. So let me remove one of those. Okay, I can use a rhinestone picker up tool or picker tool, whatever you want to call it. I can remove my excess ones with it, and I can put them down in the holes where they need to go. But you can see mine filled really nicely. Okay, I see another extra one up here. They're so much easier to remove before you put your tape down. Sometimes you may have an extra one on the tape, so you have to pick it off the tape with tweezers, but I find that it's a whole lot easier to get them off before you put the tape down than afterwards. Oh, I see another extra one. Now here's a piece of the transfer tape. I've used this already once or twice, maybe 3 times. But I found if you put it back down, you can reuse this. Maybe not a whole lot of times, but you can get a few uses out of it. So I'm just going to put that down. Now, when it's brand new, sometimes there's a little bit of static in it, and it can suck your rhinestones up. So if you have a new piece, what you do is you kind of fold it in the middle, set it down, and just go for it. If you mess it up, start over. But if you're really timid and you put it down and then you move it, you're really going to mess up your stones. Now I can see one of mine shifted right there, so I'm going to push that over through the tape with my fingernail. If you feel more comfortable, you can roll over them. I worry about shifting the stones a little bit. You can put something else down and rub. Whatever works for you to get those stones to attach to your transfer paper or your transfer tape. So then I'm just going to gently lift this up, peel it back. As I do, I want to make sure there's no rhinestones staying down. If I see a rhinestone staying down, which I don't, but that's one thing that could happen when you use this too much. Maybe one stays in there. If one stays in there, you put it back down, you push on it, and then you pull it back up. But if you go slow, check all along the way, you're less likely to miss one. Okay, so just because of gravity, I'm going to keep this upside down until my heat press is ready to go. Okay, I have my heat set for 335 for 15 seconds. That's a little hotter than what some people do it, but that's the instructions I saw online, so that's what I'm going to go with. Now I have my little black bag. I think I got it at Michael's. I'm going to move the pads on my heat press over so I can hang the handles off the top, or in this case, the side. Then I'll pre-press this for about 15 seconds. Now the reason I'm doing this is to remove any moisture that's in there. One of my favorite YouTubers, the Baby's Booty, she said remove that moisture, because if not, your stones could actually come off. Then the other thing is, I rolled it with this lint roller just to remove any excess fibers. Okay, my heat's almost up to the right temperature, so I'm going to go ahead and place this on my canvas. Then before I commit to it, I just wanted to make sure there weren't any rhinestones slipped upside down in the wrong place, that kind of thing. So I'm going to leave the pad kind of toward the middle of my platen because I feel like the pressure is probably best in the middle versus if I just have it on the side, it might be slightly slanted. That's just my theory. So I'm pressing this for 15 seconds, and then the instructions said it's a cold peel. So I'll have to be a little bit more patient than usual and let it cool off. Now I feel like I've seen people lift these up immediately, so I'm going to peel one corner and see what happens. Okay, that worked fine. So then what I want to do is go ahead and press it for about 5 more seconds just for one final pressing. So that final press wasn't in the instructions. I just thought since I pulled it up before I was supposed to, I probably ought to do that. And really, I think I'll do a repress for a few seconds each time I do this. But look how cute that turned out. That is really cute. So thanks for spending time with me today. I hope something in this video helped you. If so, or you just found it interesting or entertaining, please give me that thumbs up. And then if you haven't subscribed, be sure and subscribe, click the bell, and then select all notifications. Thanks again, and until my next video, bye-bye.